ML Nation, this is Simon Chan, and I'm fired up for a special guest today. This is unlike other episodes, really different, because this guest has something that I really don't find much in the network marketing space. Okay, you're going to learn how to crack other people's personality code in less than 90 seconds. You'll be able to connect quicker on a deeper level, communicate clearly and effectively in any situation, and also, most importantly, accelerate customer acquisition and increase retention. We have the one and only Cheri Tree. Hey, Cheri, are you ready to make it happen?
I'm ready to rock. Let's go.
Cheri Tree, if you haven't heard of her, is a best-selling author, professional keynote speaker, executive business coach, and entrepreneur. And she got started way back in network marketing. And now she's the founder and chairman of BANKCODE and Codebreaker Technologies, who have customers and clients in over 100 countries. Now, what makes Cheri different is while most leaders teach people how to sell, Cheri Tree shares what makes people buy. And she can share about her aha moment where she went from struggling in network marketing to where she is now today. She's been featured in numerous international publications, including Forbes.com, Entrepreneur.com, and has spoken at Harvard University, and also spoken on the same stage as Tony Robbins, Susie Orman, Les Brown, Richard Branson. And I'm also honored to be speaking on the same stage with Cheri on the upcoming Top Summit event in Naples, Florida on February 2nd and 5th. So anyway, Cheri, welcome to the show. It's a long intro, but you have so many accolades. Why don't you take us back in the day? How did you get started with network marketing?
Yeah, sure. Well, you know what? I was so excited. I read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that's definitely one of the top books I recommend. And Robert Kiyosaki talked about, to be successful in business, you got to be great in sales. And so I jumped in network marketing, and I hit it out of the ballpark. My first year, I made $700. So I was basically one of the worst on the whole team. And the only reason they didn't fire me was because I didn't quit, right? It was classic network marketing. And for 5 years, this is part of my story, is I really struggled. I worked as hard as I possibly could. I attended all of the Super Saturday trainings. I went to the company convention. I was your classic perfect downline, team member in the sense of commitment, but my money just didn't reflect it. Over a 5-year period, my income went from $700 to $72,000. The company had given me a nice title. I'd won a few leadership retreats and incentive trips. And got to feel like I was winning. And they kept telling me I'm doing a great job. Keep up the great work. But it just felt like something was broken. No matter how much training I studied or all the sales methodologies I learned, and I read the books, I listened to the audio programs. I hired coaches and paid them thousands of dollars money I didn't have, financing it on credit cards, trying to crack the code. And I just was really feeling frustrated. And Simon, for me, the big thing was it felt like something was broken. And I wasn't sure whether it was me that was broken, like maybe I'm just not cut out for network marketing, or perhaps maybe it was the system. And when I took a couple steps back, I realized it actually wasn't me, and it's probably not most of your listeners either. It, in fact, was the system. And the system was brainwashing people into believing one of the greatest lies ever told. And it's a little bit controversial, but if you're open to it, I'm going to share with you what I discovered, because once I cracked that code, it took me to making 7 figures within 3 years, and the rest was history.
Yeah, I'm always no BS. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. So what is that controversial thing?
Yeah, well, the controversial thing is that, if you've ever heard sales is a numbers game, and they pretty much brainwashed us into believing that in order to get more yeses, you have to get more
no's.
And the reason I had you say that is because that's the exact same answer that every single person shouts out every single time I speak anywhere in the world. And that's the lie. The truth is, in order to get more yeses, you actually have to get more yeses, not more no's. And there's programs out there that are unfortunately called Go for No. There's books that are written called Go for No. And for me, my standpoint, and this is no offense to the authors whatsoever, is that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard, is to go for no. I don't know one person in the world that wakes up excited to go for no. But I do know a lot of amazing entrepreneurs that wake up pumped up every day to go for yes. And so I've made it my mission for the past 20 years to figure out the exact secrets, the science, and the system to go for yes and to get that yes. And I basically cracked the code on how to do that. And so that's what I teach people all over the world.
So where was this aha moment? How did you decide, let's go right into the code, and what led you to was there a specific event or situation where you realized, hey, I need to go for yes.
It was kind of a series. Like, for example, I had a corporate job for my first 2 years while I was in network marketing, kind of bridging the gap and doing network marketing. And at my corporate job, I was taking these personality assessments like companies have you do. And then in network marketing, I was learning about the different personalities, the different colors, the different animals, et cetera. There's a lot of different versions that are out there. And each one of those assessments, in their own way was interesting and even fascinating because of what I learned about myself. But my fascination turned into frustration when I realized not one single one of these assessments ever made me more money. Like they never helped me close more sales. They never helped me recruit another person. And that's when it occurred to me that said, wait a minute, is it possible if there's 4 different personality types, and this theory actually dates back 2,500 years to a guy named Hippocrates, the father of medicine, who basically figured out he could take the entire human race and divide them into 4 different groups. And he called it the theory of the 4 temperaments. So when you fast forward today, there's hundreds of different assessments out there. What color are you? What animal are you? What astrology sign are you? What jewel are you? The DISC program, the Keirsey, the color, hundreds of them. And each one of those assessments was designed to figure out who you are, but none of the assessments were ever built to tell you who your customer was. And my whole philosophy was, if there's 4 different types of people, I wonder if they make buying decisions differently. And I wonder if what triggers one person to say yes tripwires another person to say no. And so once I had that idea, it was like that moment of genius that kind of snapped in my brain. And I thought, wait a minute, where's the personality typing assessment that can tell me who my customer is and why they buy, right? And the market didn't have one. And so I decided I was going to build my own as an experiment. I wanted to see if it would in fact work. Could I basically predict the buying behavior of my customer by figuring out what their personality code was, or what I called their bank code? And that's the acronym for my system, B.A.N.K, that basically revealed their buying behavior and revealed exactly what triggers the yes or tripwires the no in the sales conversation. And if I could figure out how to crack that code, and if I could do it in less than 90 seconds, could I essentially tailor my presentation or my message to the customer, same product, same opportunity, but could I speak to them in a way that got the yes and avoided the no? And so just experimenting with it, in 1 year, I took my income from $72,000 to over $500,000. So my income spiked 695%, basically 7x. And the best thing was I went from working 60 to 80 hours a week on my network marketing business to 20 to 30. So not only did I get 7 times the income, I got my life back at the same time. And now I was living the best of both, having time and money. And within 3 years, my income shot to over $1 million a year. And of course, the rest is history, because that's when all of my peers started saying, hey, will you teach me your bank system? Can I come learn your bank system? Can I fly in and attend your training? Can I fly you up to my group and have you teach my group your training? And that kind of led one thing to another. And here we are today.
So there are the 4 personality types. So for those who don't know, why don't you briefly explain them really quickly? And then how can you, just say I meet a person, how can I find out their personality in less than 90 seconds?
Yeah, cool. So the BANK system is an acronym where the B stands for blueprint, the A stands for action, the N stands for nurturing, and the K stands for knowledge. And before I explain those 4 types, what I'll create is the distinction. Like, it's natural for people to want to compare it to what they understand. Like, how does BANK compare to DISC or the colors or the animals or whatever? It's very simple. Every one of those other assessments were based in psychology, and BANK was the world's first built-in biology, spelled B-U-Y-ology, which was the science of buying behavior. At the end of the day, I didn't care what the psychological profile of the customer was. I wasn't trying to date them. I just wanted to know what their buying behavior was and what triggers the yes or tripwires the no. So it required a completely different re-engineering of personality science in a way that predicted buying behavior. And then what I did was I developed some tools that could help me understand which one my customer was. So there's really 4 ways to crack someone's code, and I'll explain the evolution of how we crack codes. The way that I started off was realizing, first of all, that my customer is not just one of the 4 codes of a B, an A, an N, or a K, but they're actually a combination of all four. So think of a bank code like a PIN code. You know, if you were to take out your debit card and go put it into the ATM machine, it would ask you to enter a 4-digit PIN code if you want your money to come out. Well, the customer's the same way, and they have to reveal their 4-digit bank code if you want the yes to come out or the deal to close. And so what that meant, Simon, is that if every customer was a combination of all four, the question is, well, how many different codes are there? And there's 24 different codes. So mathematically, there's a 1 in 24 chance that the average person is going to deliver the exact right message that has the customer want to say yes to their products, yes to their opportunity. That also means that there's a 96% chance of the customer saying no, right? Of getting the wrong message. So I didn't want to waste my time talking to someone that was only going to end up in a no, right? I didn't want to go for no. I wanted to go for yes. And the only way that I could go for yes scientifically was I had to crack the code, which put the odds heavily stacked in my favor. If I knew their bank code, I was far more likely to deliver the right presentation. And I always say, bank wasn't designed to help you close 100% of your sales. That would be my fantasy. But bank was designed to help you deliver the right presentation 100% of the time. And you could be the world's worst salesperson. You could be someone who hates sales and practically doesn't even like people. But if you deliver the right script to that person in their code, you're going to be far more likely to get a yes instead of a no. And as new distributors start getting more yeses, it creates momentum, it creates excitement, it creates encouragement, it builds their self-esteem, it builds their confidence. They start doing it more and more. And the next thing you know, you've got a leader developing in your organization as opposed to so much churn and burn by the average person quitting within 90 days. Number one reason they quit is because the average person's earning less than $500 a year. And let's just be honest, I love that you're from New York. Let's just call it how it is. No one gets excited about $500 a year. So the system is broken. And yes, top producers make the hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, and that's awesome. And how they do it is they basically crack the code. You interview any top producer, they understand the bank system probably like the back of their hand. The problem is when their downline comes to them and says, how do you do it? They know that they do it. They just don't know how they do it. And so therefore, they don't have the ability to articulate, to transfer, to duplicate, or to clone that skill set to their downline, and therefore they can't scale.
Right. Hey, I want to add one comment to that. It's just like, so if you don't get that, it's just like, just because you're a top performer does not mean you're a good coach, right? You see in sports all the time. Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time. Has not been a good coach. It's been terrible. Some people, the general manager. So Wayne Gretzky has not been a great coach, right? So just want to clarify, because sometimes the top leaders are so good at it, they can't relate to someone that has no background. They can't teach it going back down to that level. So just want to clarify that.
That's exactly right. And the true game of network marketing, like if you're going to master the game at a championship level, you have to clone the skill set across the entire organization, right? So we built this whole thing to basically increase your sales and maximize your results in what we call the 4 R's. Revenue, which is closing sales and making money. Recruiting, which is building the distribution channel of your organization. Rank, which is developing leaders and people. And retention, which is keeping those customers subscribed so that you don't have to constantly rebuild your organization and customer list. So let's get back to bank. So bank, what is it? Remember, I talked about B is blueprint. This is a person who's totally conservative inside the box. I use the color blue because this person is colder to approach. And because they're conservative inside the box, if you give them an outside the box idea, or if you reveal any form of risk, like this is a startup opportunity, or this is full commission, it's going to cost you money before you make you money, like that turns off the blueprint in every single way possible. So most people, like if they're talking to someone blueprint, they're going to automatically be getting the no most of the time. The action personality type, the A stands for action. I use the color red. This is your mover, shaker, millionaire maker. This is the person that acts like they just drank Red Bull for breakfast, right? They only like to go one speed in life, fast. So think of the RPM hitting the red line, and they love to be treated like VIP celebrities. So think red color carpet, right? The action personality type is totally outside the box. So they are looking for massive opportunity. Matter of fact, it's one of their core values looking for opportunity. And if the action can find a way to make more money than what their job is paying them, they're the type that's likely going to join the business. You say the word opportunity to a blueprint, they're going to get scared. They're going to shy away from your deal because opportunity sounds like risk. And the truth is, it's true. The word entrepreneur, if you looked it up in the dictionary, it's a French word, and it stands for someone who's willing to assume risk in exchange for gain, right? Like the very definition of entrepreneur is risk taker. So it's perfect for the action code, terrible for the blueprint code, but there is a way to recruit blueprints if you follow our formulas. The N in BANK stands for nurturing. This is the color yellow we use. Think of this person as super warm, friendly, like sunshine, sunflowers. They've got a heart of gold, and they're sweet as honey. When it comes to the box, they're neither inside or outside the box. They're the ones that we say recycle the box, right? So often this is the person who's going to say, the money's not what motivates me. I'm here to make a difference, not really a dollar, which is often why they're running the type of business that starts with the word non before the word profit, right? Nonprofit. And a lot of times, especially health and wellness style companies in the network marketing space attract a ton of nurturing people. They're amazing. They're the salt of the earth. But the challenge is they hate to sell. And because they hate to sell, and cultures perpetuate the myth where they say, hey, to be successful here, you don't have to sell anything. You just have to share. And Simon, this is where I'm controversial again. I say, guys, if that were true, it would be called the Direct Sharing Association, not the Direct Selling Association. Yeah. Right? And the light bulb goes off. The truth is, you can replace the word sales with influence. And what we teach the nurturing group is if you want to be more influential and if you really believe in your products and services, then you have to get a yes. You have to close the sale. But there's a way to do it that has no manipulation or aggressive sales tactics involved at all. It's truly about serving your client and showing them the better way. And so there's a huge opportunity for the nurturing group. And then the K in BANK stands for knowledge. I use the color green. This is the person who basically engineers the box. And the reason I use green is these people love data, they love facts, they love science, they love numbers. And so I thought of Microsoft Excel spreadsheets logo is green, right? Or in the movie The Matrix, the code that falls across the screen is green. So these people are super analytical. They can be the most difficult to sell to or to recruit into your organization, kind of statistically, unless, again, you know the code. So the most important thing with BANK is by knowing someone's BANK code, we reveal the exact triggers that help you get the yes for that sequence or the no's and the things to avoid, like don't say this and don't do that, because if you do, you'll likely get a no, and unfortunately, you'll ruin the opportunity to close the sale. So the analogy that I use, our tagline is we help people crack the personality code and take it to the bank. And the analogy that I like to describe, and actually here on camera, I'll show you, this is a device called a cryptex. And this was made to be the Da Code, right? It's a combination of two words, cryptology, which is the science of locking up secret information, like a combination lock, and codex, which is the written script or scroll that's locked inside the device. So this was made famous in the movie The Da Vinci Code. And in the movie, what was written on the inside of this device was the secret to the Holy Grail. And the whole plot of the movie is what's the secret? But there was only one way to find out. You had to crack what? The code, right? So they had to crack the code. The problem is this was booby trapped. So think of it like a ticking time bomb. Because if you crack the code incorrectly, you'd crack a vial of vinegar that the scroll was wrapped around. The vinegar would leak out, dissolve the writing on the scroll, basically leaving you with nothing. So the analogy that I use is every single time a network marketer is out talking about their products or talking about their services or talking about their opportunity, chances are they're cracking more vials of vinegar and dissolving the possibility of doing business with that customer by saying the things that turn them off instead of saying the things that turn them on. So rather than playing the numbers game and rather than basically playing a version of Russian roulette where you go for no and basically get rejected a majority of the time, I started realizing that if I could crack my customer's code and if I could do it in less than 90 seconds, then I would be far more likely to deliver the message according to their code in a way that got the yes instead of the no. So that's the concept behind the BANK system.
That's awesome. So there's a lot of the other systems out there, like the disc, the four personalities. They have like that socializer, the fun-loving person. Where would that fit in the bank code? Which person? Would
Yeah,
the
here's the problem.
because
A lot of
the other ones kind of like fit perfectly, right? The knowledge is like the analytical person. Sometimes the green, the nurturing's uh, the dolphin, whatever the name. I can never remember the animals. Like
Yeah,
the
I know
nurturing,
that's the problem.
the action is the
Well,
go-getter. Where was the fun-loving person be drop fill in?
so I'm gonna give you an analogy, Simon, and I'm gonna do it like on video. If you're listening to the audio of this, just imagine I'm holding up my four fingers. Like, let's just pretend we're talking about any other program like DISC, DISC, with my four fingers, and then you the other hand with bank, BANK as the four fingers, and then I put them together. And what I tell our customers is that they are the exact same thing, only completely different.
Um,
And what makes it completely different, for example, D stands for driver in the DIS system. You can be a blueprint driver, an action driver, a nurturing driver, or a knowledge driver. So the fact that you're a driver did not reveal buying behavior. And that's why I say there's a huge difference between psychology versus biology, spelled B-U-Y, ology, because Bank was the only one that predicted buying behavior versus what the other assessments designed for was more of a psychological profile. And just kind of a fun fact, because I looked this up and was kind of blown away. The whole reason DISC was invented was during the mid 1900s when we were in World War II and a majority of the men were deployed off to war. The factories that were left had to hire women, and they had no idea how to hire a woman. Like, women didn't work back then. So they built the DISC assessment as an assessment for how to hire women for an HR perspective, and so that was kind of the origin of DISC. And DISC is great for what it does, but when you compare it to Bank, there's really no comparison. Again, I was looking for what triggers the yes or tripwires the no. I was looking for, like, a DISC assessment takes roughly 45 minutes to complete. Ours is less than 90 seconds. And now we've developed an artificial intelligence that can crack someone's code in nanoseconds. Literally, as fast as you can snap your finger, we can crack your code now.
So
Using AI.
a
Yeah.
listener is going out there and just say, I always think of Whole Foods, is buying something at Whole Foods, and what's the first thing they should look out for? So find out where they fall in this bank code.
Well, okay, so there's there's more than what we call 300 triggers and tripwires that are revealing someone's code. And remember earlier I said there's 4 ways to crack someone's code. The hardest way to crack it is to guess, right? Which is what most people are doing. Like, I'm going to try to listen to what the customer says. I'm going to ask them questions. I'm going to pay attention to their behavior, neuro-linguistic programming, all of that type of stuff. That's the hardest way to crack someone's code, and that's the highest probability of error. And even if someone's pretty good at cracking a code or figuring out who that person is, what we have found is typically they're really good at figuring out what their first part of the code is, like what their bank code starts with, a B, an A, an N, or a K, because maybe that's the most obvious one. But cracking the entire sequence of the code, right, the 24 different combinations, you only have a 4% chance to get it right. And so that's where the wheels come off the cart, so to speak, is that people think they know who they're talking to, but when the full sequence is revealed, they find out they're wrong many of the times. And we do a cool workshop. Like, when people come to our workshop, we do a workshop called speed coding. And this is cool because think of it like speed dating or speed networking. You literally sit across from an opponent you've never met before, and you've got 3 minutes to crack their code. You can ask them any questions. They've got to answer. And we give you colored poker chips, blue, red, yellow, green, and you've got to lay them down at the end of 3 minutes in what you think their sequence is. And you win points based on how many of the positions you got correct, right? And so it's super cool. But before we do that, we teach you what are all the clues you're looking for. I mean, what's their behavior? What's their tonality? What words are each of the codes using? What turns them on? What turns them off? How do they dress? What kind of car do they drive? How does their office look? Their home, their garage, their closets, what magazines or what materials are they reading by code, so that we can give you the highest probability of getting it right when you meet someone.
Awesome. It's very, very good. So where can people learn more about the code? I know you wrote an amazing book out there. Can you share a little bit about it?
Yeah, so I mean, I would teach this bank system all over the place. I had audio programs. We put it all on video and stuff, and people would come up to me and say, "Where's your book? Can I order your book?" And at that point, I hadn't written a book, and then it occurred to me, wait a minute, I'm the student of reading many great authors' books, like Rich Dad Poor Dad and some of those other incredible books that are out there, Think and Grow Rich, John Maxwell leadership books. So I said, you know what? I owe it to humanity to write the book for Bank. And we called it Why They Buy. And the website to grab a copy is whytheybuy.com. And on that site, you'll have the option to download a digital version or to order a hard copy version. We printed them in different colors, blue, red, yellow, green, and then a limited edition black cover version. They're the same exact book, just different colors, because I'm neurotic about the system. I'm a branding freak. And you can also order a set of the cards with your order, so you can get the book plus the cards. And those cards is what I created in the early days to crack someone's code. So literally, I built a set of 4 cards, and I would hand them to my customer. So let's just pretend you and I were sitting down to talk network marketing. And I'd say, hey, Simon, take a look at these 4 cards, and I want you to sort them in order. And I want you to put the one that's most like you and most important to you on top, down to least like you, least important to you on the bottom. This is going to help me serve you better and save us both some time. And then I would shut up and watch what happened. And the truth is, I didn't even know what would happen, but this is part of the experiment. So I'd hand my client 4 cards and shut up, and then they would hand to me, sorted their sequence, and it took less than 90 seconds every single time. For most people, it takes them, around 30 seconds. And so what they handed back to me was the secret to the Holy Grail, their bank code. And I'm like, holy cow, it worked. Like, no resistance whatsoever. For 20 years, I've been cracking codes. 100% of every person I've ever asked has cracked their code. And I thought, wow, okay, now that I know their bank code sequence, which just saves me enormous amounts of time guessing, now can I figure out the formula of what to say to them to get the yes versus the no, right? So this is what we've been developing for 20 years, is basically the scientific formulas that give you the yes versus the no based on that bank code sequence. And it's cool because we've got research that backs it. Like San Francisco State University did a full study on bank, and they said, hey, this is absolutely designed to close more sales. Matter of fact, it can predict buying behavior in less than 90 seconds. And so using this, the cards was one of the ways to crack the codes. And on the website, Why They Buy, you can add a set or multiple sets of the cards with your book. And what I recommend, like what I did, was I made bank mandatory for my entire downline. And how do you make anything mandatory in network marketing? I said, if you want my time, if you ever want to invite me onto a 3-way call or introduce me to your guest or prospect, you've got to tell me their bank code. Because if you don't tell me their bank code, guys, we're just wasting time. We're playing darts. Like, we don't know if we're going to hit the bullseye or not. But if you can tell me their bank code as your upline leader, I will know exactly what to do to help you close the sale. And Simon, when I rolled Bank out to my downline, it was January 2006. Okay, so it's been a while. And in January, my income was $8,000. And I rolled Bank out. I did a 2-day training. 200 people showed up from my downline. So think of it like a 2-day Super Saturday training on the bank system. And in February, the very next month, my income shot from $8,000 to $261,000 in 28 days. So $250,000 jump. No new product launch, no bonus payouts, nothing. Literally just raw production increase. And when people say, how is that even possible? Because that was ridiculous. No one could believe I pulled it off. The difference was I trained my downline how to use Bank to sell and to recruit. And it's like popping 2 training wheels on the back of a bicycle. If all of a sudden your downline knows exactly what to say to close the product sale and to recruit them into the business, getting a yes is the easiest thing they've ever done. And then it increases their sales velocity, because the speed of getting yes, also known as momentum, is a formula. Getting yeses faster and faster creates momentum. And when your whole organization gets on Bank, I mean, it's pretty much game over.
Exciting. So you've been, in the summary, ML Nation, what Cheri has done is taken something kind of guesswork. We did have the 4 personality types, but you're still guessing a lot, into the science where you can give the best presentation. It increases your chance of your prospect buying or joining your business. So really cool. Go check it out. You can go to the show notes page. We'll put the link. Cheri talked about whytheybuy.com. Definitely check out the book as well. We'll put a link in the show notes page. All right, Cheri, as we, any other things?
I want to say one more thing, because remember I said there's 4 ways to crack someone's code. So speed coding is the hardest way, where you're guessing, right, and looking for clues. Handing someone the cards became much easier. Then we created a digital version of the cards. So just like you and me, we're doing this in Cyberville right now with each other on Skype. So for example, if I was trying to crack your code and I can't physically hand you the cards through my computer, but what I can do is send you a link. And on that link, you can actually drag and drop the 4 cards digitally on a website and then enter in your information, and our system will kick out a free bank code report to you that'll tell you, here's my bank code and here's all the things that make you tick. So it's a lead generation tool. It's a subscription model, right? But that's not why we built it. We built it because the person that sent you that link, who wants to know your code, is going to get a report, and that report's going to say, hey, congratulations, you just cracked Simon's code. Here's his name, here's his contact information, here's his bank code, and here's the top tips of how to communicate, negotiate, and close the sale. Good luck on your appointment, and take it to the bank.
Awesome.
So I've set up a link for everyone to do this for free. Like if they want to go crack their code, if you're okay with it, I'll give them the website that allows them to go test out how the technology works. They can crack their own code and get a free bank code report on exactly how this works. And then that became magic, because now in an instant, you get someone's bank code and exactly how to engage with them. And it's huge lead generation. We'll have people who post this on social media and generate 30, 40, 50 leads an hour, but not just a lead. They get a lead with a bank code and an exact sales plan on how to engage that person.
Very, very cool. So Cheri, definitely get me the link, and we will put it on the show notes page. Okay, go to mlnation.com and just click on the podcast tab, the episode with Cheri Tree, and the link to her book, and that link for that free assessment, free BANKCODE report will be there. Very cool. So
yeah, the link is crackmycode.com/Top Summit, right? Top Summit basically sponsored me to come and speak, and that's where I'm going to see you on stage. So that link will allow everybody to do it for free. crackmycode.com/Top Summit.
Awesome. You said there was 4 ways to guess someone's code. You said 4 ways?
Yep.
Guessing, speed, cards. The digital version was the 4th one.
Yep, the digital version is called Bank Pass, and the 4th version was our artificial intelligence. So what was so cool, on our board of directors is a guy named Neil Sahota, who was one of the founders of IBM Watson, the world's largest AI, right? And so we actually got to develop our own artificial intelligence called Codebreaker AI. And now the AI, the whole goal was, how can we clone Cheri Tree's ability to crack someone's code, and how can we make it accurate 100% of the time? That's what the AI does. So now the AI, which is a subscription model, but let's just pretend you had the AI and you were looking at my LinkedIn profile prior to the show, or my bio, or my email, or a text message. You can run it through the AI, and the AI will literally read through all of the data. In a nanosecond, it'll crack someone's code. So just on my own LinkedIn profile, and we're getting ready to launch the Google Chrome extension, you could literally be on LinkedIn, crack someone's code with 1 click. It'll reveal exactly what their bank code is. And with a 2nd click, it'll scrape all their data and their bank code and put it into our CRM system, which will allow people now to be able to market and prospect those people according to the code. So Forbes just wrote us up and said, hey, this is the future of sales, and the United Nations brought me out to speak on the artificial intelligence because they believe this is an AI that can change the world. So we're really excited about it.
That is very, very exciting. I definitely have to check that out. That's very, very cool. Hey, as we go towards the end of the show, quick questions. Okay, this is really cool. Talk about, I mean, you're very successful. How important is consistency to success?
Consistency is everything, because consistency is what helps build momentum, right? Like if you start and stop and start and stop and start and stop, you're never going to create momentum, right? And momentum, by the way, is a formula. Everybody in network marketing talks about momentum, but nobody knows the formula behind how to actually create momentum. So momentum is a physics word, and momentum is mass times velocity. So mass is the size of your sales team. Imagine if you're just party of one and you got no downline, it's going to be very difficult to create momentum versus if you've got 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 people, you've got mass, and then you multiply it times velocity. So we teach our clients a term called sales velocity, which is the speed of getting a yes. And that's why BANK is so powerful, because it's not just about getting a yes. And there's maybe a lot of listeners who are great at getting a yes. The question is, how fast can you get the yes? Can we take it from 4 appointments to 3 appointments to 2 appointments to 1 appointment, a 1-call close, right? And knowing the bank code, it speeds up the time frame of getting the yes. So our whole goal is to close more sales in less time. So the size of your sales force, using BANK to beef up your recruiting and building out your organization, and then the speed of getting the yes and training them on the system, you create something called momentum. And so consistency is key for that across your whole organization, by the way.
Awesome stuff. So, couple more pick your brain questions. One of them is, and these could be short one-liners. How important is, what is one of your favorite success quotes that motivates you?
One of my favorite ones is from Robert Kiyosaki, where he says, stop taking advice from people more messed up than you. And that's important, because in network marketing, like, you're going to have people trying to tell you what to do. They might be cross-line, they might be downline, they may even be upline, or it could be the company. Go to the experts of what you're trying to master and follow the master.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
The best piece of advice, and it changed my whole life when I was young in network marketing and feeling defeat and failure constantly because I was getting way more no's than yeses. I was probably on the edge of considering quitting, and my upline pulled me aside and said, Cheri, I want to give you a lesson that you'll never forget. And I never forgot it. And he said, you can either make excuses or money, but you can't make both. And that quote changed my entire life, because I realized in that moment that any excuse that I could ever come up with was exactly that, an excuse. And so I'm just going to shut up and I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to crack the code and I'm going to make money. And I made a lot of money.
What is one habit that's helped you become successful?
Well, for me, the habit, of course, was using BANK consistently in every appointment. Having the courage to ask someone to crack their code and finding out that they actually loved the experience. They thought it was cool because the topic was really about them, not you. And so the habit of using BANK every single day and not just brushing it off. I always say there's two people we can't help, the ignorant or the arrogant, right? An ignorant is going to say, I'm not going to learn the BANK system, can't teach a dog a new trick. And the arrogant is going to say, yeah, I already know how to do all that, see you later. And those people we can't help. But anyone in between who's actually humble enough to say, hey, if there's a better way, if there's a faster way, if there's an easier way for me to get a yes instead of a no, and it's legit and it works and it helps people, I'm in, teach me it. And that's what I would say. Do BANK every day.
Aside from BANK, do you have any other favorite online resource or app on your phone that you could recommend?
I love any type of advanced learning. Like, I'm a student of personal development. I love reading good books. As much as I'd love to say I listen to books on audio, I don't. I guess I'm old school. I like reading for books and flipping the pages. So I read a lot of books, constantly ordering great books on business, on sales, on personal development, on artificial intelligence, and some of those types of things. So as you know, readers are leaders, right? Or leaders are readers. And I do love listening to great audio programs when I can. So sometimes I do download books. I'll listen to them while I'm driving in my car, or great podcasts, anywhere that gives you access to masters, people who have mastered something that can teach you something that makes you better, faster, smarter, wealthier.
Aside from BANKCODE, what's one or two other books that every network marketer should read?
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, hands down. That's going to teach you your money mindset. That's going to get you, squared away. And actually, I'd say the sequel to that, Cash Flow Quadrant, which teaches you the difference between employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor. If you really want to create financial freedom, and this is a big mistake people make, they chase just the money. And I see this at the top producers. There's a lot of top producers out there that are making 6 figures and 7 figures, but they have no time and they have no life. And true wealth is those that have time plus money. And so that's where you have to really master the ability to leverage and not get sucked into running an adult daycare where all your time is spent babysitting the incompetent people in your organization.
I like the way you put it, adult daycare. Hey, here's the last question, the $1 million question. Are you ready, Cheri?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Here's the last question. Imagine you had to start all over again and you knew no one. So you had no one to give out a bank code to, but you had all your current knowledge, skills, and wisdom. What's the first thing you would do or the first place you go to build a network marketing business from scratch?
Well, with today's online capabilities, obviously building out sales funnels is going to be huge. And I'm also at the same time old school in that I like to go meet people. So if you had to parachute me into some random city somewhere in the world and start from scratch, the very first place that I go, and this is one of the things I train, is to the Chamber of Commerce. I look for the big suburb Chamber of Commerce, not the big metropolitan downtown, like not the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce, but the suburb areas, the most thriving small business channel, because that's one of the best places to go find hungry business owners, entrepreneurs that already love that lifestyle. They just simply want to make more money. And so that's one of my favorite places to go when I'm face to face with people.
Thank you so much. As you wrap up, any last words of advice? And then what's the best way listeners can connect with you, Cheri?
Sure. Well, one of my pieces of advice is go to the Summit, guys. Top Summit is really doing some industry disruptive things, putting together all of the top players and educators and vendors and partners for the industry to support you with success. So I'm going to be there in Naples. Simon, I look forward to meeting you there face to face. So if you guys don't have tickets, make sure you grab them at thetopsummit.com. And how to connect with me is you guys can follow me on Facebook. I'm maxed out on friends. I'm sorry about that, but you can follow me on Facebook at Cheri Tree. And my Instagram is cheri.tree. So just any of those, you guys can follow me. And whytheybuy.com is the place to get the book and at least start to read. And that has all of our contact info in it.
Hey, MM Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And today, you'll be hanging out with Cheri Tree. So keep up the momentum. Go to MLMNation.com and just go to the podcast tab. And the show notes of Cheri's amazing episode will be right there. The link to her book and also to those cool bank codes, all those good stuff that she talked about on the show. Hey, in order to be successful in life and business and network marketing, you must help others. So Cheri, thanks again for sharing your valuable time. We're grateful to you and we appreciate you for having a positive impact on millions of distributors worldwide. Thank you so much again, Cheri. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Take it to the bank.